Alright, you're welcome to this video. Now in this video we are going to look at a simple project, and this project we shall build it in Python, PySide6, C++, JavaScript and VBA. Now JavaScript we shall go ahead to integrate CSS and HTML. In VBA we shall integrate Microsoft Excel. I'm still your instructor, Emmanuel Ogdudu, for this course. Now we have the task which we are going to work on. The task is simple, where a trader deals with a sale of 3 items, and they have given us the cost price, the selling price, and the quantity that trader sells. So they want us to create a program which will calculate the trader's profit and the percentage profit. Now, as simple as it is, we are going to transform it into a mega project. Now, by the end of this session, we shall be guided by the following learning outcomes. Should be able to explain fundamental business concepts such as the cost price, selling price, profit, and the percentage profit. Should also be able to apply mathematical formulas to compute the profit and the percentage profit, and other calculations we shall see. Should also be able to design appropriate data structures to represent real-world entities. Should also be able to implement solutions using multiple programming languages and environments. Should also be able to analyze program output to make informed decisions. One of the outputs we shall create will be a CSV file. Should also be able to evaluate program robustness through validation and error handling. Should also be able to create extensible and reusable software. Now, in the previous case, we have seen 3 products. Can you extend this product to handle more than only 3? Can you extend this application to handle more than 3 products? Now, we have keynotes to take here. Like I said, we shall use Python, JavaScript, VBA to accomplish this task. Alongside, we shall build a graphical user interface application. So, I'm very confident that if you build this in C++, it will not be hard for you to do the same in C language. And the same thing, if you can do it in JavaScript, actually there's some relation in the syntax with C# and Java. So actually you can also build this using Visual Basic, because if we learn how to use Visual Basic for applications, which comes in Microsoft Excel, I'm pretty sure you can build this in Visual Basic. Now you can run to AI to give you the solutions, but in this course I'm going to give a detailed explanation. Before we start a concept, I will entirely explain the concept before we apply it. Now, what are some of the requirements for you to kickstart this course? You should have at least Visual Studio Code installed on your PC, whether it is Windows, Linux or Mac. So you should also have Python. Alternatively, we shall see how to use Google Colab. So you should also have, for a graphical user interface application, you should have PySide6 installed. So you should also have Dev C++. In case you don't have Visual Studio Code, Dev C++ helps us to run C++ and C programming languages. You should also have Microsoft Excel installed, at least version 2010 and above. You should also have a text editor. So we have a variety: Notepad, Sublime Text, and many others, but I will recommend Visual Studio Code because it is a rich text editor. Like I had mentioned earlier, the JavaScript will go ahead, we shall involve HTML and CSS for styling. So when we proceed with the requirements, you also need a Windows PC, actually a Windows 10 PC or 11. And then you should also, in case you're using Ubuntu, it is okay. In case you're using Mac, it is okay. So you only need to have all the software installed. So the last section, we shall see how to use AI to solve that very problem. So a keynote is there's no experience required. Now about me, I'm a teacher by profession, and on the screen there is a variety of skills which I'm capable of to do, from basic networking, basic cybersecurity, programming languages, C++, C, JavaScript, Python, basics in data science, machine learning, office applications, scripting, HTML, CSS, structured query language, mention it. So in case you are in need of a serious, competent, and skill-driven, don't hesitate to hook up on me. My contacts were there on the screen. Now, my teaching philosophy. My approach is around Bloom's taxonomy, whereby I embark on project-based approach to learning. Now, this helps learners to gain real-world application and create build real-world knowledge on how things run in the real world. Now, I design learning activities that progressively develop cognitive skills, starting with foundational knowledge, advancing through analysis and evaluation. So, in the courses, in the projects we are going to develop, if it is C++, we start by explaining the concepts, then go ahead to apply the concepts, and then we finally apply the solutions we have got across multiple programming languages. Now, my instructional strategy still. Each topic is introduced through a real-life problem. To establish relevancy and motivation, learners first demonstrate understanding of the core concepts such as the profit. So, I first explain the profit, what about the cost price, what about the percentage profit, etc. before we go ahead to apply it. So, as we conclude this, I also make sure there's engagement through questions and answers. So to accommodate diverse learning styles, the same problem is implemented across console-based applications, then graphical user interface applications. Like I said, we shall use PySide6. So frequent pauses of reflection on questions and different scenarios will be done throughout this course. Then lastly, industry and academic relevancy. So this project emphasizes transferable computational thinking skills. So by the end, we shall be able to think like developers in the field. So the inclusion of validation, error handling, and user interaction mirrors real-world professional practice. So that is exactly what we are going to do. We are going to make sure our application is able to handle errors and everything which will show up. So in every software development process, there are stages which are followed, or phases. Now the first phase is the requirements gathering. Now under this phase, we document what the system should do. An example, to calculate the profit. So we start building on from there, and the percentage profit, to start planning. So in the planning stage, we define the scope, the timeline, we define the resources, and the risks involved. So we define the resources like, I will use Python, I will use Visual Studio Code, I will need maybe to hire somebody to support, I maybe need to buy the design. So that's where I will plan. I will plan on how long I will take on the project, that's the timeline. So I will also plan the design. Here, you can simply create system architecture, data models, and UI interface. So the interface is what you interact with, what the users interact with. So you can simply design this interface on paper before you go ahead to implement it in the code. Development, write and integrate the actual code. Now this code you can simply also write it on paper before you implement it. So we go to the testing stage. After you've written everything, like we shall see, always test to verify the functionality, whether it really meets the user requirements, because at first you gather the user requirements. Then deployment, release the software to users or production. So in case you created an executable file or a website, release it for use. Maintenance, update, optimize, and support the system. So after developing a system or a website, follow up and always do maintenance. So that is how you keep yourself engaged and employed. So this brings us to the end. So by the end, you should be able to think like a software developer. Software development follows a clear life cycle from understanding the problem to maintaining the solution. So the problem is capture the profit and many other problems you will encounter in the field. So you must identify the problem, understand it, and you have to keep the solution on track. So if you're excited to learn with me, so get ready and let's get started. Alright, welcome back. Now I wanted to explain on something that we shall be meeting on the way while we are proceeding. Now, while we are creating this graphical user interface application, we shall be meeting words like Q group box, QV box layout, QH box layout, Q line edit, Q label, Q push button. Now, the Q group box, I'm going to show it from this application. Now, this one in yellow is a group box with its label maize. This is also a group box with its label millet, likewise to this one here. So these are group boxes. They group different layouts, as we are going to see. So whenever I mention this word, I'm going to explain up here what I'll be referring to. Now, when I mention a QV box layout, just know it will be a vertical layout like this. This one I've just used the shape, a rectangle. Then within I've put some push button, a line edit. A line edit helps us to edit or enter content like this one here. These ones here, these are line edits, these are buttons. And then I don't have a label. So a label is also just helps us to indicate that maybe this is a section. So these are widgets, the ones we call widgets. I don't know the right pronunciation, but these are simply the user interface components. So like buttons, Q line edits, labels, these are all, we call them user interface components. So if I refer to a vertical layout, think of something like this, where the widgets will be organized like this, arranged like this. So when I refer to a QH box layout, I'm referring to something where the layout will be something like this. An example is this one here. This was a layout having these components. This was also a layout. This is also a layout where they are arranged horizontally across the window. Likewise to this one, these were all horizontal layouts. So that is it. Whenever I mention that, just know. So finally, we now create a Q group box. We create a Q group box like this. So I'll give it a name, group box. So this group box helps us to organize these other elements. So I'll send this to the top and then I align it to the right. So within a group box, I can add these elements. Okay, I better undo this. Let me group this. I think I've grouped it. Oh, okay, I've grouped it. So I'll carry the whole of this, but I challenge they're all using blue. Anyway, let me put it forward. Send forward. Okay, send front. So I can get, okay, let me send this one to the back such that I can also bring, so within a group box, I can put different layouts. I can put vertical layouts like this. I can put another vertical layout, Ctrl D to duplicate. I can put several vertical layouts like this within a group box. So whenever you see me defining a group box, like maybe I'll call them form. Form is equals to Q group box. You just know I want to add layouts into it. So unless apart from adding that one, we can also add an H layout like this. and you can add multiple of them provided you have them. Just organize them smartly like that. So we can get another another group box. I'll select all these ones, select this one, select this one inside, select this one, select this one, and I'll group them. So I said whenever you see me use such a layout which is vertical like this, you just know I'm writing something like maybe layout 1. I'm defining it as, remember, if it is in this this group box, this is my layout 1, this is 2, this is 3. So I'll write something like layout 1 is equals to QV box layout. Just like this. When you see me define something like this, I'm defining a vertical layout. Within the vertical layout, I would add widgets and it will be organized like this. So if I define another layout, and I say layout 2 is equals to QH box layout, I'm defining a layout like this. Then I'll add the components inside. I'll define a layout like this one here. Then I'll add components inside. This is also, I'll call this one layout 3. So in the case where I have another group box like the way you see this 1, 2, 3. So I'll have a group box. I'll duplicate this. I'll have another group box like this. So I can also have another group box. Let me duplicate this again. I can have another group box like this. So this one forms my final layout, and this final layout is a vertical one, which means I'll add these 3 group boxes to one layout, and the layout will be a vertical one. So these 3 forms, I'll go and add all of them to a vertical layout so that they appear vertically like this. Remember, a vertical one looks like this. So whenever I am looking at a concept like that, just know these keywords should not be strange to you. So go ahead, finish up here, then we proceed in the next one. Alright, let us start this section. Now before we start, there are key questions which you may be interested in knowing. I'm still your instructor, Emmanuel Gidudu, for now. Now, there are several things you may be asking yourself. These are some of the key questions you should ask yourself before we start. Provoke your minds before we start. Now, in the phases of software development, we have the requirements gathering stage, the planning, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So the questions are, do you have all the information required before we start this project? So that is an example, the cost price, the selling price. What do you expect to change? Because you can't develop this project expecting it to work for 100 years. You must prospect any changes, so note down the changes. Perhaps move down to the client and ask questions. Then document the findings about the project. Now if it is this trader in town, I'll go down to the trader in town and I say, what else do you need? What else do you think this business will change? After 2 years, what do you expect? So in my maintenance stage, after I've deployed and given it to the client, I'll go back down and start working on basing on what I collected from the trader. So plan the duration you'll take on the project. So resources you'll need, e.g. the software, etc. So create your design on paper. An example is the interface. So this interface, write it on paper. How do you want it to look? So if it is displaying maybe, should I say, window components, how do you want them to appear? You can write them on paper, draw them on paper, and then you can implement it. So create your design, draw it on paper. If it is a database, write down the structure, how the tables will look like, then the relationships, etc. So another key thing to look out here for, write and implement the code finally. So here, before you write the code, feel free to write it down on paper. So before you go on PC to write. Test the application to ensure functionality meets user requirements. So test the application during development, then after development perhaps get somebody to help you test the application. Then later on deliver the product to the user or the client. So do not sit back and relax after you have delivered the product to the client. Always maintain such that you can stay live in the field. So we shall proceed here. Now I know you may be asking a question in your minds, mostly if you're a student of computer science, information technology, or another ICT field. Now, what is the purpose? What's the relevancy of this course to me? Then you may also be asking yourself, I don't have a portfolio. How will I land a job? So the question here is, what if I'm a computer science student who needs to build my portfolio? So for every job advertised, they always ask for experience. Unfortunately, you can't get experience when you have not worked, and you can't work when you have no experience. So that circle is very terrible, moving around. So my answer is very simple. Now, while you're outside there, somebody may tell you, please build a tic-tac-toe. This may end you into mess. So I'm saying build real-world applications that solve real-world problems. So remember, as a computer scientist, science is there to solve problems. So always look out for problems. So look around your environment to find gaps. Actually, look for gaps, either in existing systems or where there is no ICT integration. So look out in supermarkets, check their operations. Go to schools, check their operations, from handling stock, then admissions, universities, check out colleges, then submitting results, reporting. So all those are things you can look out for. Microfinance institutions, NGOs, then individuals. Meet an individual. Perhaps an individual needs a website. So meet individuals and try to interact with them. What are they up to? So you can do an undercover investigation. If you don't want to go on ground, you can do an undercover investigation and gain insight on their operations. So, or go on ground like I mentioned. Now, for example, we are not just talking theory here. My intention is always to solve problems. I don't teach theory. So even though theory is what builds us to be what we are, but I like building on real matters. So for example, a company X uses a notebook to record their employee arrival and departure times, plus even taking their names. And unfortunately, some days the book gets lost, the notebook gets lost, or even it is spilled, water spills on it, or some other, maybe a juice. So as a computer scientist, go sit down and create an app to help solve that. So you'll keep refining it. Always create a sketch. You'll always be refining it on the go. So a school X struggles to enroll students who are far away from school. How can you help? Go sit down, create a web application. You can even start as low as creating a Google form where students submit their names and their personal details, then their school enrolls them, they pay, something like that. Just think about how to solve a problem. Do you notice a company with no website, or it has no brand? Please find out where to fix, find a problem to fix. So design for them a website. Now, if a client fails to take your product, don't be frustrated and say this is now the start and the end. Use those projects you have developed on your portfolio to showcase in case you're asked for experience. Now you have something to show. So you can also go ahead to visit freelancing sites like freelancer.com. You can visit Upwork, then other freelancing sites. get projects which clients have posted for support. So find that project, imagine you're really doing it. So sit down, do it like you're doing it for a client. So after that, put that on your portfolio. So with AI in play, think about how a company Y can get its clients effortlessly. How can it email its clients without always somebody sitting on the PC to say have to send messages to the clients? So create a web portal for institutions, host the portal, manage the portal for the institution. You will be employing yourself. So volunteer for IT support or in other roles. So when you volunteer, it is not a must that you will have to volunteer, but if you realize there is no room you're getting into the industry, you can find volunteering roles. That is where you learn more, in case you just feel your knowledge is not sufficient enough. So finally, go out on social media, showcase the projects you've accomplished. So that is how people recognize that so and so actually exists, and this is what he has done. So in this project, I'll try as much as possible to integrate all whatever I've mentioned. So go ahead, finish up here, then we shall meet again. Alright, welcome back. Now we are proceeding with this project of creating a simple calculator program for calculating profit. Now we are starting with the graphical user interface application, and this one will be, the logic will be built with Python. Now there are several other ways of building graphical user interface applications, but in this case we are going to build ours using Python. Now we are going to use the PySide6 library under the Qt umbrella. Now I'm going to first of all introduce the learning outcomes we expect. So by the end of this session, you should be able to design and implement graphical user interface application using PySide6. You should also be able to apply Python variables, functions, and operators in the graphical user interface application. You should also be able to implement basic error handling. You should also be able to connect graphical user interface application components using signals and slots. Then you should also be able to package the application using PyInstaller so that you create an installer for users to use. You should also be able to create an executable file using InnoSetup and deploy the application. Now, what are we going to do? We are first of all going to look at the whole project, then how it was created, then the final product. So this is the whole code written in Python with PySide6, creating the user interface. And here, when you come to run, we shall write the whole of this. When you come to run Python file, it will run through and display this window. So it will display this window like this. So this window has the maize category, beans, and millet. So it has the push buttons, all these ones here. So everything is working fine. With errors, everything has been compiled well. So if you enter some prices, like here we enter the cost price, here we enter the selling price, we enter the quantity sold, and compute maize profit, we are able to see a message: you successfully computed this maize stock data, and data is stored to a CSV. Click OK. So we have the total selling price, we have the total cost price, we have the profit and the percentage profit, and we have the profit. So this is how the application works. So you can come and clear, and all these other areas also work the same. So at the end, it creates for you an installer. Sorry, it creates for you a CSV file, this one here, maize records. And if you check through, you'll see the data we have just entered, 450, 500. So, and the profit was this, percentage profit was this, and the profit was this one. So that is how the application works. And from here, we created an installation executable file, and it is also, where is it? I think it is under distribution, this one here. So we used inno setup to create the final installer, and this is the installer. So this is the shortcut installed, sorry, this is not an installer, this is the shortcut installed to my PC. So if you double click this shortcut like another application, it will open here, and this is the application, and you can use it. You can enter some cost price, enter some selling price, and then enter the quantity you sold, then compute profit. So you can clear, then you compute something also. Then this is maybe 600, then quantity is maybe 56. In case you don't supply the quantity and try to compute, you see an error message, so you'll have to compute again. So we have also done error handling. So if you compute, you must have all text boxes filled. So this one is empty. So the trick is we have made it to the standard. Let me enter some quantity sold and compute. So everything is perfect. You can reset, you can close the application, and you have it on the desktop here. This is for Windows. So if you come to my folder here, I should have the I don't know whether I have the Excel file. It is called maize records. I don't know where it may be hiding, but the Excel file will be created immediately after you have entered the data. So when the beauty about PySide6 is I can create, here I'm on Windows, I can create this on Windows, and then I compile this for my Windows application and create an installer. I can transfer this code into Linux and compile this and also produce an installer for specifically Linux. So the beauty about this very code, I don't have to alter anything. So I can create several applications, only change the environment and recompile and produce another application. Just change to Mac, run the same code, create an installer for also Mac. So that's the beauty about PySide6. And in case you're not familiar with it, we are going to go through each section one by one, and I'm going to make sure I explain most of the concepts clearly. Now we are going to make sure we implement all the phases of software development, because this is now a very crucial project. When you look at the question at the start, it looks small, just calculating the profit, but we can turn it into a mega project. So as we start, make sure you have your PC ready with either you can use the Linux, or you can use Windows, or you can use Mac. You can use any of those platforms. I believe it will get us well to the final point. Alright, go ahead, finish up here, then you come and we start with lecture 1. Alright, welcome back. Now in this lecture, this is lecture 1, we shall make sure by the end of this lecture you gain an understanding of how to use PySide6 library, then how to install PySide6 in Python, then how to define an initial layout of the graphical user interface application. So we shall also go ahead and have a 1.1 lecture which will explain a few concepts on object-oriented programming, because we shall use some of the concepts here. So what I will not explain here, I will come and explain it clearly here. So when you come here, we have some questions. So this question says which graphical user interface components are suitable for input fields. In case you want to input cost price, what will you use? Then the buttons, then output display. In case now you want to display the output to the user. This time around we are not doing it in the console. We have to get at least a graphical user interface component to display the output. So another question is, why should calculations be separated from the graphical user interface logic? I think I probably remember. I'll have to look at this again so that I explain about it. So let us start straight away. Now the first thing is, how do you install PySide6? Come to your terminal and say we shall say pip install PySide6. Make sure you have internet connected, then press enter. You'll have to get PySide6 installed on your PC. After that you can restart Visual Studio Code and then come back and kick off again. So on top of here we shall create a file. I think I may create another. Let me just open a folder, then I create a file. Let me create a folder named my project. Select this folder like this. So I'll come inside the folder of my project. I'll create a file. In this file I'll call it profit calculator underscore calculator .py, because it's a Python file. So come and close this window. So from up here we shall now come and start writing the whole program now. Now we shall write an initial window which helps us to see the graphical user interface application, just the start. So we shall say from PySide6, P is uppercase, S is uppercase from PySide6 dot Qt widgets. I think I've written it well. From PySide6 dot Qt widgets, import Q widgets. Let me see whether there is some error. I'm saying from PySide6. I don't know where the error is, but there's no error. Let me see. Let me select the right Python interpreter. Come and select Python interpreter. Let me select this one here. I don't know whether that was the problem. Yes, come to the manage option, the gear icon here. Come to command palette, then select, come and type Python, then choose select interpreter, and then choose the interpreter from the list here. If you have a virtual environment which you're running your project in, choose the virtual environment. So after this, after writing this line, now this is the PySide6 library, and this is the module which handles every part of the graphical user interface application. Now this is a class, the main class, which helps us to display everything. I'll also come and import sys, we shall also see its use. So I'll come down here and I create a class. So this class, I'll call it main window. I'll call this class main window, and this class will be a child class to the QWidget class. This class here, this will be its parent class. So whatever it will do, it will be inheriting from that class. So I'll create a method down here, or a constructor, which helps us to initialize every single object created under this class. So we shall create that method, and we shall create a function super. This function is responsible to help us inherit from the QWidget class. So I'll create this function super. I'll come down here and I create a guard clause, and I say if underscore underscore name is equals to open quotes underscore underscore main. So we shall come here and I create an object of the Q application. Come here and import Q application of the Q application class. Q application class, just like this, and within it I'll pass sys.argv. This helps us to handle command line arguments. So I'll come down here and I create, I don't know why I'm not adding comments, and I create an object of the main window class. Main window class. So this object I'll call it to window, and it will be of the main window class. So I'll come down here and I show this object window.show. So I'll come here and I say sys.exit while you're executing the app.execute, just like this. So if we come and run this, I've not added anything here. I've just designed the layout. So if you come and run this, it is saying on line 1, it is saying it's not understanding something from PySide6.QWidgets import. It is saying error, import name QWidgets, and then I think it is indicating there is some mess here. I don't know if I can see it quickly because this is right. Import QWidgets. This is okay. It is not capital. It is not plural. It is singular, like this. Okay, QWidget, not Q application, not plural. So let us run this again. Okay, we shall have a window like this. So this shows that we are now on track. So we shall come here and create the window dimensions. Create the window dimensions. I'll type dimension as well. So I'll say self.set window. Set window title. I'll have to look for it from the list here. Set window title. I'll set the window title to profit calculator. So I'll also come and set the geometry of the window. Let's set geometry. This geometry I'll set it 500. That's the width, height, the top, the bottom, and actually top, bottom, left, and right. I'll define 500 by 500 throughout. So come and run this and you see what happens. So we shall have a title we have just added, profit calculator. Then it is actually 500 I'm sure. So after setting this, we now have a good layout of our application. So what happens next? We are now going to add the buttons and define the entire layout. And then we shall also see how can you display everything on the window, so such that everything is organized the way you saw my application was organized. So go ahead, practice here, and let us meet in the next section. Alright, welcome back. Now we are going to go brief about lecture 1.1, and we are saying by the end of this section, you should be able to create a class and a child class. Then you should also be able to define self and its application in object-oriented programming. Now, it happens that here I came and created a class. At this point, I created a class. Then I came here, this class was inheriting from this parent class. Then I came here and I created an object of this child class. So I didn't explicitly explain everything, but we are now going to explain it from here. So I'm going to explain basing on this concept of inheritance. So we shall come here and we create a class named shapes. Shall create a class named shapes. Shall say class shapes, and this class shapes will have the following methods. First of all, I'll define init. Now, what is the importance of init? Init helps us to initialize objects. So whenever you want to initialize objects, init is very important to do that work. So this method helps us to initialize the properties of an object, or initialize the object itself. So we shall define methods which can be performed on a shape. So the first is the area. The area can be performed on a shape. And then the next is I'll define another method, and I'll call it let me just call it perimeter like this. So I'll also pass. So we put pass in case you don't intend to write anything down here, so that actually, if it is a function, so that it doesn't run into error. If it is a method like this, it doesn't run into errors. Now I'll come and create child classes. Now under shapes, you can define shapes. An example of shapes, we have rectangles, we have triangles, we have circles. I will define a circle. I will define a class of a circle. So this circle will inherit from its parent shapes. Okay, it will inherit from its parent shapes. Now what happens? If it is a circle, do we have the parameter of a circle? No. So a child class can inherit some of the methods from the parent class, or it can inherit all. So for this case, a circle has no perimeter. Instead, it has a circumference. So we would have described the circumference also, but for example purposes, I'll only define these two methods. So I'll come here and also define a constructor which will help us to initialize the state of this object. So I'll come down here and also define what we call, should I say variable attribute initialization. So a circle has the radius. I will say self.radius equals to radius. Just like this. I'm going to explain about self. That's why I defined it earlier. So here I was supposed to define another parameter called radius. And then I'll come and create a method to compute the area. I'll say method to compute the area like this. I'll not return the area like the way it is auto-completing. I'll say return area is equals to self dot radius. I think the area of a circle is equals to radius squared, and then times pi. But pi, I'll get pi from the mass module. I'll import mass, so I'll say times mass.pi. I'll get pi here, mass.pi. So I'll return that. So I'll come down here and I create an object, or what we call an instance of the circle class. So this object, I'll call it circle1. Circle1 is equals to circle parent class. So this circle will inherit almost every part this circle will be an object of the parent class, the circle. So in the parameters, I'll pass there the radius, which is 5, because I'd passed here the radius. So what am I going to explain about? It is at this point, then with the self. So why do we pass self here? Then why do we pass where also self here? I think when I explain here, it will handle the rest. Now, I have a guiding PDF here, which can help us look through that. But it is not with PySide6, but I'm going to use it from here up to somewhere here. Now, what is self? Self represents the current object or instance of a class. It allows Python to distinguish between different objects created from the same class. Now, when you come here, I've created a first object. So I can create different other objects like circle2. I can create another object like circle2. Then I can pass a different parameter here, maybe 6. So what is the use of self? Self helps us to distinguish between different objects created in the same class. So in this case, the class was a circle, but we can create different objects. So self helps us to say, please, for your circle2. So if I'm picking an attribute to assign you to, when I'm picking a method to run, for you to run on your circle2, specifically your circle2. And then we went ahead to explain on what happens when an object is created like this, like the way I created an object here. What happens? What happens is when you create an object, like an example I created here, like the way I created an object here. When you create an object, actually, not only there, I also created this object, these two objects. So when you create an object, like an example of this, Python calls the constructor method. Which is the constructor method? This one here. This one here, the one we had called here, but at the same time, this one here, and at the same time, this one here. So Python calls the constructor method and passes the object itself as the argument. This means the following happens when we don't see. So this is the main class. This is the class we created, and then it brings out the constructor and then assigns the object you created as the parameter. It is kind of complex to explain. So inside the class, the name self refers to the object. So inside the class like this, the name self refers to the object we are going to define, or the individual objects we shall define. So in case you're not understanding it well, you may visit the Python documentation. You'll see a good explanation about that. So whenever you're saying self, it means you're simply referring to the object you have created. So I'll come and now down here and I'll print the radius. I'll say circle1. After I've written circle1 has, I better read the word itself. Circle1 has area of, I'll display the area here. I'll say circle1, should I say circle1? Should say circle1, I don't know why it is not reflecting up here. I'll say circle1 dot area. I don't know why it is not showing up here. Let me just copy. Okay, I had written dot. It is circle1 dot area. I was just going to copy it. Dot area, and then, so what are we calling? We are calling the area method here. So if you come and print, you'll see circle1 area is this. You can also print circle2 area. Just copy this, paste it here, and change this to circle2. And if you run, you'll see circle2. So in case you're not understanding this well, you can visit the Python documentation, then you can get a better reference. So go ahead, practice this out, then you come back, because I wanted to just explain how when we create an object, what happens with self. So whenever you're using self, I think we shall again see, whenever you're using self within a PySide6, what are you referring to? An example is here. In PyQt applications, in PyQt windows and widgets are objects. When you write self.setWindow, then you pass the window title, you are telling Qt to set the title of this specific window instance. So you created the instance, then you want, actually you're telling self is representing the object you created, and you're telling Python or Qt to create, you're telling Qt to set the title of this specific window instance, this instance you created, which was window. If I come back here, this instance you created, which was window. So simply, window is coming and sitting here, but that is in the background. That's what we are not seeing. So go ahead, practice here, then come back and proceed in lecture 2. Alright, welcome back to lecture 2. Now lecture 2 we shall be guided by the following learning outcomes. You should be able to create widgets in graphical user interface applications. Now we shall come back here. Let us look at our application. I will launch it. Now what are widgets? Widgets are these ones here. These ones here, these buttons. These are what we call widgets, or graphical user interface application components. So when we talk about, I'm going to go to Word. Actually, I may even do it from here. When we talk about, we are going to talk about two things. We are going to talk about, let me come and pass them over here. We are going to talk about QV box layout. We shall also talk about QH box layout. Now, these layouts help us to organize our components on the window. Now, let us say, for example, we have our window. I'm going to use a rectangle like this. Let us say, for example, we have, this is our main window. So within here, I can use vertical layouts. Vertical layouts can stand like this. I can have vertical layouts like this. Then I can have horizontal layouts like this. Horizontal layouts like this. So these horizontal layouts can help me to organize components which I want to run horizontally. So when we are on this application and we are going to refer to QV box layout, just know we are going to organize things vertically like this. If it is QH box layout, it will going to be horizontally aligned like this. So it can be horizontally aligned across the whole window. If it is this one, it can be aligned across the whole window, but horizontally like that. So within this layout, within this QH layout, box layout, I can now create buttons. I can come and put buttons inside here like this. I can come and put buttons inside there like that. So this is what is happening on this application of ours. If you come and launch it again, this is what is happening. I have the layout, then components are laid out within that layout. So that is exactly what we are going to do. So let us come and start straight away. So I've already passed QV box layout. Now the first layout I'm going to create, I think I may bring the one, let me pause the video, I bring the screenshot, then we proceed. Okay, now we have our layout here. We are now going to define that. I'll start with the maize layout. So first I'm going to come and define the layout. I'm going to call it layout 1. Layout 1 is equals to QH box layout. QH box layout. So like I said, this one is going to be horizontal like this. So actually I may use horizontal ones only, then finally I will use the vertical one. So within this layout 1, I'm going to define the first one, the first layout, which is a text box like this. Actually these ones I'll put them in the same line, these ones also in the same line. So we shall come back and we same. The first one will be the profit input. Profit input is equals to, now this now comes to the question we asked, which type of component is used for input fields. So we are going to input text. What do we use? In PySide6 we use what we call the Q line edit. So come and say this is like a variable, profit input is equals to Q line edit like this. So we can come and create placeholder text for the Q line edit. I'll say profit input dot set placeholder text. Dot set placeholder text. Shall put this text as profit here. So under this QH layout we are going to put such a component, that is a Q line edit for profit. So we shall also go ahead and create one for percentage profit. So I'll just copy this. Remember, copying and pasting is very okay. So I'll say this is percent profit. So just copy this. This is like a variable name. Just paste it here. So shall say percent profit here. Percent profit here, just like that. So go ahead and create another one. Go ahead and create another one for the total selling price. Remember, I want to show all outputs from the top here. So total selling price and the cost price. So go ahead and create another Q line edit for the total cost price. So we shall also come and also create this. So the inside text I will create will be total cost price, just like that. I'll copy this and just paste it here. Always add enough space for readability. This is selling like this. So just copy this name, use it here. This is now not cost, it is selling. So this one will make this layout here. This one will make this layout here. So come back. Now after creating this layout, we now have to add these components to this layout. So we shall say layout1 dot add widgets. The first widget we shall add is the profit input. So we are adding layout1 to this layout, this QH box layout. We are adding these components here. So we shall just copy this, then we paste again. I'll just copy this name of %profit input. I'll paste it here. I will again copy this and paste it, just to shorten the time of writing. I'll copy this again and paste it here. Then I'll copy this and just fill it here like this. So after adding these widgets, we shall now have to set the layout, display. So we shall come here and we say self.set. Remember we said self, we are now referring to the window. Self.set layout. So I'm setting this layout 1 to now display. .set layout 1. So let us go and run this and see what happens. So here we now have layout 1, which is having these components, the 4 of them. So this is what we shall do for the rest of the others. So go ahead, practice this. But what you should know is we first create, this is just a definition. You can come and even define it from here when you're now adding the components. So here I think comments are very important. Shall say add widgets to the layout. That is the layout 1. Then here we had to set the layout to display in the window. So go ahead, practice here, then come back and we proceed in lecture 3. Alright, welcome back. Let us now go to lecture 3. Within lecture 3, we are going to expect by the end you must be able to add multiple layouts to the graphical user interface application, then also add layouts to the Q group box. So come back here. Now this was the first layout. Now within this within this top here, within this top we are having, this is one layout, this another layout, horizontal one, this another horizontal one. This is a box. That's why one of our learning outcomes is to create a box layout, which is a group. So this is a layout, this is a layout. Horizontal, remember I had mentioned earlier that the horizontal layout, inside this window I can have a layout like this. So this is a layout, this is a layout, this is a layout. So that's what we are going to exactly do here. So we shall come back. We have defined the first layout. We have defined the first one. If you come and run this, we have defined the first one. So let us define another one. This is layout 1. So all of them should be horizontal because this is also horizontal. This is horizontal, this is also horizontal. So come and also define another layout. We shall say layout 2. Layout 2 is equals to QH box layout. So this QH box layout, I'm going to now add, what am I going to add? I'm going to add the box for cost price, selling price, and quantity sold. I'm going to add the first Q line edit will be This was the cost price input. I was supposed to say output so that it makes sense. So anyway, I will not go back. Let me say cost price, and just call it cost price is equals to, actually I should be specific. This is maize cost price because I'm working out for maize. I think even this one I was supposed to be specific because I'm going to create other layouts here for other items. So for me to be specific, let me pause the video, I add maize here, and then we proceed. Okay, now it is going now to make sense. I've made these ones output, these ones are outputs, these ones are output, either these ones will be inputs. So I will say it is good to use descriptive names. Input is equals to the Q line edit. So I'll come and set the Q line edit text. I'll say maize cost price input dot set placeholder text. I'll set the text as enter cost price, actually enter cost price. So I'll also come and create another one. Remember, I'm creating 3 of them. This one will be selling. I'll just change here. Selling price input. Just come and change as well here. Selling price input. Then come and change this to selling price. So come and also paste it again. Change this to maize quantity. Change this to maize quantity. Copy this and paste it here. Then enter quantity like this. So by so doing, we shall have this. So this will be another layout, this one here. So we shall come and add these layouts like the way we did here. Add these layouts to add these components to layout 2. Shall say add widgets to layout 2. So we shall say layout 2 dot add widgets dot add widgets. So the first widget I'll add will be the maize. Actually, I'll just leave it open like that, then I'll paste. I'll be copying and pasting. I have 3 widgets. I'll paste one, paste another one. So I'll just copy this. I'm going to add this widget here, the way I added these ones here. So I'll do the same for the maize selling price. I'll do the same for the quantity input also. So what shall we do? We shall have to set all these ones the way we had it to set here. Shall say self. It is better just copy this because it's just almost the same with its comment. So I'll set to the layout, I'll set layout 2. So if we come and run this, you realize where is our layout 2? Our layout 2, this is the first one. Did we set? We said self.set layout 2. Wait. Set layout 2. Why is it not showing? I hope I've not missed out something. This layout 2.add widgets. This is okay. Let me pause. Let me check why they are not showing, because after running this and I've set them to the window, they are not showing. Let me check, then we come back and proceed. Alright, let us proceed. Now, when you come down here, add self to each of these components. because we said if you're referring to self, you're referring to in case you have created multiple objects. So Qt will know when, where, actually will know which object which component belongs to which object. So don't forget to use self on each of these components. Now, I'd said I wanted to add this layout to the window, but let me first skip that. Let us proceed to create another layout. We have created this one here. Let us create the one with buttons here. So to create the one with buttons, we shall come at the top here and we import Q push button. So we shall come here and define layout 3. Shall come and define layout 3, and we said we shall use the horizontal. So come and say self dot layout 3 is equals to QH box layout. So the first component we shall define the button. The first button here is the push button for profit. We shall call it self dot maize profit. I'll just call it maize profit btn is equals to self dot q push button is equals to the Q push button. And here we can put some text on this button. Let me take a cup of water and then we proceed. Okay, we can put some text on this button and we say compute maize profit. As the text on that button. We can go ahead and also define the button is width. You can say self dot maize where am I missing? Self dot maize profit button dot set fixed to width. Come and look for width. Let me set the width to 160. Then I'll also say self dot we shall now have to add the signal slot when clicked. Self dot clicked self dot maize profit. What am I writing? Sorry. Self dot maize profit btn dot clicked dot connect. We are going to connect it to self dot. So we shall come and create a method here which will be run when this button is clicked. We shall create a method called maize func, just like that, taking up a perimeter self, and we shall pass down here. So I'll copy this name and I'll come and use it here, just like that, but I'll comment it for now. So we shall also add another button for reset. So I'll just copy this and then I'll paste it down here. Okay, not even the layout. We shall just copy this because this button for reset will also be added to the layout. This will be reset btn. So the placeholder here will be shall put and say reset set data. So we shall copy this name, use it here, and then here we shall also use this very name here, and then here we shall create a function, or a method, and we shall call it reset func, like that. Shall create a method, shall call it reset func, which takes up perimeter self, and we shall pass. So this is what will take us to create this layout. So let us add everything to a box. Add to a group box layout. So to add everything to a group box layout, we shall define, let's enter some space, we shall define the group. I'll call it form1. Is equals to Q group box layout. Come and also add its class up here and say Q group box. So come down and we are going to use it and say Q group box, just like this. And this box we shall give it a name, maize, like this. So after giving it a name maize, we shall now define its size. Shall say form1 dot set fixed height, shall define its height. Its height I'll make it 200. And then I'll also come and start adding the layout. So I'll come, so all these ones here, all these ones we have created, where they, all these ones here, they're in a vertical layout. These are horizontals, then this is a vertical layout. So we shall come and create a form layout. This one will be form layout 1, which will be a QV box layout. So we shall add on form layout 1, we shall add layouts. So remember, these are layouts, the ones we have created, layout 1, layout 2, layout 3. So we shall add those layouts to this layout. So what are we adding? We are adding them to the vertical layout. We shall add layout 1. Am I getting it? We shall add form layout dot add layout 1. I hope I'm getting it. Actually, I'll use self dot layout layout 1. So I'll do the same for the rest of the others, the other 3 layouts. Layout 2, and then the next one, layout 3. So after then adding them to this layout, we shall now go and say form 1 dot set layout form layout. We are now adding this form layout to the form. Adding this form layout, which is QV box layout, to the form. So we shall go and run this and see what will happen. So it shows this. Let me double check and find out where the problem is, and I come back and we proceed. So we did not add these after creating the reset. We don't add them to layout 1, layout to, wait a minute, we did not add them to layout 3. So come here and say add widgets to layout 3. So we shall say layout 3 the way we made for this one here. Shall say self dot layout 3 dot layout 3 dot add widgets. So the first widget we shall add will be the maize profit. It will be self dot maize profit button. So we shall do the same for the reset. So it will be reset button, just like this, reset button. So this will be done. So I said let us run it again and you see what happens. It breaks up. It says self.reset button. I defined it. Okay, sorry, I've defined it up here rather than down. Let me define it from down here, just here like this. Let's run this again. So it showed up this window which is open. So I said let me check, and then we come back and proceed. Alright, welcome back. Now I've just discovered that we have only defined this one. Now form layout, sorry, form 1 be like a widget within the window, this one here. So we have to add another group which will categorize everything and display it the way it is displayed here. So come and define the general layout. So I'll call this general layout is equals to, this one will be a vertical one. Remember, this layout is a vertical one. So I'll organize all of them into a vertical layout like this. So this is a QV box layout. So that is the general layout. So I'll say general layout dot add widget. Remember, like I said, form 1 is also treated as a widget. So I'll add self dot form. I think I will not use self. I'll just add form 1 like this. So I'll now say self dot set layout. Then I'll set general layout to the layout. So I define the layout, I add widgets to the layout, this general layout. Then I have now to set the layout to the main window. So I'll add a comment and say set layout to the main window. So come and run this. So we shall have something like this. You can even expand it. So we have maize and the input boxes, and these ones are also horizontally aligned like this. So the concept is always define a form group. This form group helps you to to assemble layouts, then create a general layout to display all those other components. So we're also going to create one for beans, but remember those ones will be within here. So this is the general, because it will house the form 2. Shall create form 2 for beans and the form 3 for millet. So we shall pause this video, then we come back and complete from that section. So go ahead, finish up here, then we meet in the next one. Alright, welcome back. Now, lecture 4, we are going to duplicate layouts to create multiple layouts for the graphical user interface application. Then we shall go ahead to answer the following questions. So these questions will now come after this lecture. Write the formula for profit per unit, then total profit for one product. How do you calculate overall profit for all products combined? what is the formula for percentage profit, and these other questions. So let us come straight away and we dive in. So this was for maize. It came like this up to somewhere here. It's maize layout. So we shall copy this and we come down here. I'll create enough space for myself here, somewhere here like this, and I'll paste it here. So this is the general layout. We shall leave it here. So maize was starting somewhere here. Let me edit now from here. Create this as beans. This was maize, right? So beans, whenever I'll get maize, I'll put beans. Just copy this. So whenever I'll get maize like here, I'll put beans. I'll put beans like this. Likewise here. So shall just make changes like this. So this is simply copying and pasting. Then we shall come and also make the change here. Make the change here. Likewise here. Likewise here. Shall proceed. Change this. Change this. I would have used the shortcut whereby it will find and replace. So you can use the find and replace. Visual Studio Code supports that very well. So what I didn't mention, I'm using Visual Studio Code, and in case you have any other text editor you wish to use, which is also versatile like Visual Studio Code, feel free. So layouts under beans, the first layout, the other one I ended on layout 3. This one will be layout 4. Layout 4, when we come here, these widgets are added to layout 4. Layout 4. Copying and pasting may be a little bit smarter. So this will be layout 5. So layout 5, we came and defined here, and then we added widgets here like this. So this will be layout 6. So after creating layout 6, we came here and added widgets to layout 6, just like that. So here I will not need the reset button because I'm going to connect that reset button throughout. So I may not need it here, and not only here, I think I've removed it. Wait, what have I removed? I've removed adding the widgets. I'm only supposed to remove this, and also remove this push button for reset. I'll only need one, then I'll be resetting the whole application. So here, this will be now form 2. I've added the layout 6. It's okay, I've added the widgets. So this will be now, I'll call this form 2. So this form 2, it will be this also form 2, like this. So instead of layout, form layout, I'll call this form layout 2. So I'll say form layout 2 dot add these other layouts. So it will be layout 4, layout 5, and layout 6. So this is form layout 2. So we shall now come and add form 2. Shall copy this, add form 2 to the general layout. Remember, this is form 2. Form 2 which is now handling. Actually, this is now beans, not maize. which is handling bins. So it has the layout 5, 6, 4, 5 and 6. So we have added it here. Let us go and see. So we shall have the bins like this, but it is missing the inner components. We should double check the inner components inside here. We have the bin layout. We defined layout 4. We added this. Come back here. This is the layout 4, right? And then now we added the components. This is okay. Then layout 5 dot add components. Bins selling price. This is okay. This is also okay. So when you come to this one, this one is also okay for the button. So when you come to adding these layouts, say the form 2, then this is form 2 still. I hope there's no error anywhere. Set the width, set the height, and then let me first of all make my window large enough, 800 by 800 throughout. We make it 800 throughout, like this. So let me come back. Why bins is not showing and yet it is indicating? So I'll come and add the widget. This is okay. And then set layout form. This is form 2. That's why it is not showing. Form 2. Let's set layout. Let us run this. Okay, this is perfect. Bins, maize. So we shall pause this video. Then I create for millet. Then we come back and proceed. Okay, I've duplicated for millet. Let me see, millet layout. So, sorry, this is bins layout. Bins layout, that's why we are saying bins, like this. Then this is just the same. So we shall go and see the one for millet. It is in between here. The millet layout. And like some position like this where I use the compute maize profit. This will be compute millet profit. And when you come down here, change this to bins profit. So for millet, I should also define the layouts. Actually, this is the layout 3, layouts 4. So it has changed for bins. It has changed for bins from 4. Actually, here we ended on layout 6. So this will be 7. 7, layout 7. This is okay. So on layout 7, we shall add those widgets. Layout 7. Just like this. Sorry, shall add here like this. So this will be layout 8. And the layout 8 we shall come, we start adding widgets to layout 8. Just like this. So it will be layout 9. Shall add widgets to layout 9. This one here. So we shall create, this will be form 3. And our form 3 to this one here, this one here. Form layout, this will be form layout 3. And we shall just copy this form layout and erase it here, just like this. So this will be form layout. We ended on 6, so it will be 7, 8, and lastly 9. So we shall display form layout 3. So go and run this. Actually, we have not displayed form 3. we have not displayed form 3 on the general layout. So come and display form 3. So come and run this. So we shall have a window like this with all the 3 components, just like this. I think it now nearly resembles this one here. So adding the colors will be in the next lecture. So go ahead, finish up here, then come back and we proceed in lecture 5. Alright, welcome back. Let us proceed to lecture 5. So in lecture 5 we are going to create functions or methods to trigger signal slot mechanisms on a button when it is clicked. So when a button is clicked, we want it to perform some tasks. So by the end of this section, we have some binding questions which will guide us. So we should think about them while we are creating the program. What information must we collect for each product? I think that one was being answered with our application window. So which values are inputs and which values are outputs? So we have profit, we have the cost price, we have the selling price, we have the quantity. So how would you explain? So the question is which values are inputs and which values are outputs? How do you explain profit in one sentence? Can profit ever be negative? So why is quantity sold necessary in this calculation? How should the program respond to negative quantities? Let us kick off straight away. So we are now going to come and create methods or functions to help us now start building the whole calculation now. So one of the other methods which we shall connect to this button of beans, I think we shall also have to come and change. Let me start with this button here, this section of millet. We have a button here. We shall call this millet, and we shall remove this comment. So this is still this millet like that. Shall come to beans. I have come to beans somewhere here. This is also beans. This beans, then change this to beans. So when this button is clicked, when this push button is clicked, beans profit button, it will connect and run this function here. So I'll copy this function and paste it here. I'll call this millet because they have the same names. I'll call this beans. So what happens if this button is clicked? So we are just going to put some text here, and we shall say print in the terminal, and we say the maize button was clicked. So let me clear here such that we shall see it run here. So let us run this program again. When you come and click this compute maize profit, I think it is not responding. It is supposed to display this message of print the maize button was clicked. Let me come back and check again the maize button up here. This is millet. Okay, maize is still commented. Let me remove the comment. We'll run the program again. I'll first of all clear the terminal and run the program again. So when I click this button, you'll see a message. The maize button was clicked. So let us now go and implement the logic. But remember, we had a question which was saying, I'll just flash back to it. Let me just flash back to it in case we would get it here. this one here, why should calculations be separated from the graphical user interface logic? So this is the graphical user interface logic we have created. So we are asking, why should we separate these calculations we are going to make from this logic? So we shall come back here. I don't need this line because it was just to check whether the program is running effectively. So we shall now come and start by declaring some variables. We shall declare, we are now back to Python full. Declare some variables. The first variable we shall declare will be cost price. Cost price will carry whatever will be entered. I think I may need to first comment this, then I'll say pass. So let me run this. Sorry, pass is also commented. Let me run this. So let me leave my window here like this. So what will be entered here? Sorry, here. I want to see it and I use it. So what will be entered in the maize cost price? I think we called it maize cost price. What will be entered in the maize cost price? This is profit. Okay, they start from here. From the maize cost price input, okay, I'll come back down here. What will be entered in the maize cost price input? I'll save it in the variable cost price, where I'll say is equals to self dot maize cost price input dot text. So whatever will come from there, I'll store it in that variable. So I'll also create another variable to store what will come from the selling price. The selling price, I'll also get it from the maize selling price input. That text box is up there, we defined it already. Shall also define a variable profit. Profit, I think it is profit, because we need to display. We also need to display the quantity. Sorry, this is quantity. Display variable, create a variable quantity. Quantity will also carry what will come from the maize quantity input. We call it the maize quantity input, just like this. So if you can't recall it, you just come back and refer back to it from here. So come back down here and we start our calculations now. So for us to get the profit we shall get, not even the profit, we shall first, okay, let me introduce a new simpler formula. So for me to calculate the profit, I'll give enough space. Profit, I'll say profit is equals to, I'll open brackets, I'll get the cost price, sorry, I'll get the selling price minus the cost price. Outside here, I'll compute, I'll multiply it by the quantity. So to get the profit, I'll get the selling price minus the cost price times the quantity. Remember, if you sold something at a price 400, but you bought it at 200, so which means the profit you get 400 minus 200, which is the cost price. So I'm going now to display this value of profit into this area here, into this area of profit. Remember, I'll enter here cost price, selling price, quantity, and then profit should be displayed here. So I'll come back here and I say self dot, I'll have to copy the name I gave to this profit input. I'll copy this name. Now I'll come back here and I say self dot maize profit input. sorry, I gave it output. Let me see. I gave it output. I gave others output. I didn't change it, so it should be output. But let me leave it like that for now. Dot set text. Actually, we are supposed to set. We shall set the text within. Dot set text. We shall set text. Now, these input boxes accept strings. So if you're referring to set text, we shall convert this profit into a string. Remember, it is now going to be like a floating value. So we shall say dot set text, then we shall say string, shall turn the profit into a string. So we shall remove this, we don't need this. So when we run this, it must send the profit which has been calculated. So let us close this and we run it again. So it will open over here. Shall enter some cost price, enter some selling price, then enter some quantity. This one is too big. Enter some quantity like 54. Then when you compute, oh, it breaks. Let me go and check. It says unsupported operand types for string. Where exactly? This is line 200. At line 200, it's saying it can't compute this. Hope I figured it out well. Let's set text. Then I converted this profit into a string. Let me double check. I think there is no problem. Wait, hey, there's a problem. There's a problem, and a big one. Let me first run this again. So what we are going to enter here, are strings. What we are going to enter here are strings. So we have to turn them. I'll turn them into floats. So we are simply telling Python to multiply these strings. These are strings. Let us turn these into floats. I'll cut this out. I'll turn these into floats. Hope this works. If it doesn't work, then we shall assign another variable to it. I'll cut this and I'll say float, and I'll pass this within. I'll also turn this into a float. Say float. So I think this will work out. Alright, let us try the application again. Shall run this again. So we shall enter some values like this. Then we shall try to compute. Done. It is successful. So these input boxes accept strings. So you have to convert them to a return type or a data type, which can be worked with in using operators. So we also have to display. We have to display the percentage profit. We have to display the total cost price and the total selling price. So after the profit, shall come and also calculate the percent profit. Percent profit, we shall get the profit. Divided by the total cost price. But we don't have the total cost price here. So I'll come and create a variable here, and I'll call it total cost price. Total cost price. Total cost price is equals to we get the selling price times the quantity sold. Then did I say selling price? It is the cost price times the quantity sold. Then I'll also do the same for total selling price. Total selling price is equals to, I think here I computed it automatically. This variable multiplies to this, but here I'll have to get it manually. Then this is selling price times the quantity. So for me to compute the percentage profit, I'll need the total cost price, and then times 100, just like this. So after this, I'll now have to display it. So if you can recall its display, it is total maize total cost output. So I'll come and refer to it from down here. I'll say, actually this is the percentage profit, not so the percentage profit, I think I called it percentage maize percentage profit output, sorry, input also. I would have made it better than that, but let us use it like that. So I'll say self dot maize percentage profit output dot set text. So we shall turn the result into a string, and the result is coming from the percentage profit inside here like this. So we shall do the same for the total cost price. So the total cost price is coming from, can just go back and refer to it. It is coming from the total maize total cost output. So I'll come and say self dot maize total cost output dot set text. So we shall turn the result into a string, and the result of the calculation is here. Shall display it here. Shall do the same for the total selling price. So I'll just change this to selling, and I'll also just turn this to selling. So when you're making this, you should make sure it is you can duplicate it with ease. So let me run this again and try to compute. I'll enter some values like this, then compute. So we shall have all these computed successfully. So after that, I think we can pause here, then we come back in the next section, and then we can see how we can duplicate this for these other functions. So go ahead, finish up here, and then we proceed in the next one. Alright, welcome back. We are now proceeding to lecture 6. In lecture 6, we have this outcome. You should be able to duplicate created code to work for other items. So these other items, millet and beans. So the question is, how could this program be extended to work for other products? Now we have worked here where we have 3 products. How could you extend this up to work for more products? So like we said, we are going to duplicate this code, and then we shall replace it here. Then we shall create another copy, paste it here. So this calculation, I think here whenever there is maize, I will just replace with beans. Select this area like this. Actually, I'll have to copy millet. Sorry, it is millet, not beans. I'll select this like this, and then come to edit, then replace, or Control H. So come here whenever there is, I'll replace whenever there is maize, I'll replace with millet. So don't replace all, come and replace one by one. I'll replace the first one, second, third, don't jump to the next function. I'm still in this, like this, then this is the last one. Then jump to the next one, close here. Then let me double check now. Cost price is okay, selling price is okay, quantity, and then profit is obvious, and then it will go to the millet profit input. Then this is the same. I hope it will not require me to change that. In case there are other changes, I'll come back and make. So whenever I'll get maize, I'll replace with beans. Select this area like this, come to edit, then replace. Whenever there is maize, I want to replace with beans. Replace one by one, just like this. Just going back to the maize function here. So come back down where we are, somewhere here. So I think this one will work out. So come and run the program again. So we are testing, we finished testing here. Let us test millet. Let us enter some values like this and compute. So it computes well. And then come and also try beans. Oh, I'm entering in a wrong area. So we shall see how to restrict that. So it also computes perfectly. So after this, we are now going to go to lecture 7. In case somebody enters in an area which is not wanted, what should we do? We shall see how to handle errors in case there is division by 0. An example is where, let us run this up again, and then somebody comes and enters this, and then actually let me enter here 500, also enter here 500, then I'll not enter here anything, then I compute. So the program crashes, could not convert string to float. So we shall see how to handle those errors. Then let us say somebody enters 0, and then just like that, and then computes. There's also an error still. Maybe somebody enters 00, then somebody just enters maybe some numbers. So all those errors, maybe somebody even comes and types here text. So all those errors, we shall see how to handle them. So go ahead, duplicate these sections, make sure every section can compute its own profit, total cost price, total selling price, then percentage profit, then come back and proceed in lecture 7. Alright, welcome back. Now let us go to lecture 7. Let's go to lecture 7. In lecture 7, we shall be guided by those learning outcomes, and by the end, we should be able to configure error handling to suit a real-life application, then apply some design to forms, because at first they were just plain, then add messages to indicate errors or success to users while using the application. So we are going to work on those 3. So what happens if a user enters text instead of numbers? That's what we are going to work on. Then input validation. Somebody should not just enter anything. What errors are likely when users enter data manually? Which library would you use to visualize data in case you have now compiled the data? I think this one will be in the next one. So let us now start straight away. Remember, we have seen the user capturing some unwanted data. So we are going to do error handling using the try exempt. So we shall say try. So what are we going to try? We are going to run this. So So the first exemption is we are going to handle a case where there is a value error. So the value error, we shall say exempt value error. So if a user enters and there is a value error, we shall show a message. So come over here and import another class, that is QMessage box. Come down here where we were writing this and say QMessage box dot warning, and we shall now display the prompt, and we say self, then we shall display the message. The message will be, we shall start with the title. If you can see here, the message will be error, and then the text we shall say you cannot, in case somebody has entered something which is not a value, you cannot enter letters or any other types of text. So we shall tell the user you cannot enter letters or any other types of text. So in case a user enters such, so we didn't display a success message here, we shall also display a success message here to the user, and we say QMessage box dot information. So here the title, sorry, this is self, the first parameter, so the title will be success, and then the content will be the computation was successful. We shall change this message box ahead of where we are going. So this is okay. So this is an example. This is not an example, but this will help us to handle errors where the user may enter maybe text or another, I failed to say it out. So anything which is not numbers. So we shall also go for the zero division error, whereby, remember, we have a division of to get the percentage profit. So in case the profit is 0 and it brings an error, so we want to handle that also. Shall display message box and say QMessage box. It will also be a warning. So be a warning. We shall say this is self, and it will take up the title, still error. So the text will be you cannot compute zero division. You can add your own error message there, but I'm adding mine here for learning purposes. So just like that. So in case the user enters something which is not known, we shall flash a message like that. Let us test this. It is good to keep testing. So if you enter here 0 and you enter here some numbers, try to compute, it will say you cannot enter numbers, you cannot enter letters or another type of text. I think I'll have to come and write letters. So we want also to be clearing these ones. I think that one we shall handle it in the next one. So I think this will help us to handle these errors, the values which may come, errors which may come as a result of computation in the values, then division with 0. So let us transfer this. Let's just transfer this to the next, to the others also. I'll come and say try, and then I'll have to push this inwards. Sorry. I have to push this inwards, then I paste these ones here. just like this. Then I'll do the same for this one, try. So shall do this, push it inwards, and then shall show these error messages. So I think this is perfect. So let us also go and apply, we have applied message boxes for success and failure. Let us also go and apply the color to the forms. So when you look at these forms, if we run this again, if you look at these forms here, this one, and the last one down here, they need some fancy colors. So come down to, not even here, come to the forms. I'll start with form 3. So come down to form 3 is where we are going to start changing its color. So come to form 3, just here. So come and say form 3, form 3. It wants me to write the whole of it. Form 3 dot set style sheet, and then open brackets like this, put 6 single double quotes. I think these are 6, these are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, remove 1, come in the middle of the 3, then come and say group box, come and copy this group box name, paste it here, group box, then open curly brackets, and inside here write background. I wanted to split it on different lines, but instead it was misbehaving. Background space color, put a colon, then put the color. I wanted light blue, just like this. So if you come and run this application like this, you'll come and see light blue at the bottom. So we shall also come and do the same. I'll just copy this, then I paste and make changes for these other forms. This other form, I'll also come and paste it here. This is form 2. This is form 2. And the color, I'll make it light green. You can use the color codings, but just for simplicity, I'll use the exact color names. Light yellow, just like that. Let us check. Okay, it is saying form 3. Form 3 is not here, so turn this to form 1, then run this again. And there we go, have something like this. So that is how we would add colors to our forms, such that the window is somewhat colorful. So go ahead, add your own colors of your own choice, and come back and proceed in lecture 8. Alright, welcome back. Let us proceed to lecture 8. In lecture 8, we are believing that by the end of this section, you should be able to create a clear button widget, and add it to the layout. And then create a function to clear error input or already computed data in the application. So one of the questions we have here is, how do you display error messages differently in a graphical user interface based program? Let me take a cup of water. So we are going to make sure by the end we shall create a clear button. A button, I think we have already created it. So we shall make sure we clear the input boxes immediately, or the Q line edits immediately an error happens. So come down here come down here where we created the clear button here, reset. Actually we named it reset. So the reset, we are going to be resetting these boxes whenever there is an error. We shall start with the first one. We shall start with actually, which ones are we going to? Actually, we are going to reset all. We are going to reset all. I will start with the ones I can have access here. Actually, I will categorize them. I will start with the ones for beans. I don't know whether I have beans, the last one here. Yes, this is beans. I'll start with the one which is carrying the profit, because profit is starting at the top. This one here, it is the beans profit input. Just copy this. Just copy this and paste it down here. So beans text input dot text. We are going to use set text, and we shall put this text as I think we shall just put an empty string, because we don't intend to put there anything, such that when the user, when it runs into an error, it puts an empty string, just like this. So instead of putting anything, it will just put an empty string, actually simply clearing it. So let us go to the next one, percentage profit. This is the one for percentage profit. Shall come down here and say self dot percentage profit dot set text. We shall put an empty string just like this. So we shall go to the next one of these ones here now. We shall go to these ones whereby we have the beans quantity, the maize quantity, and the beans cost price, the selling price, and the rest. So I'll copy this one, and I'll paste it here, and I'll say dot set text. I'll put inside here an empty string just like this. So I'll duplicate this and I paste it for, I hope I copied it well, beans. Okay, hope I copied it well. Just change this to selling. It will also be an empty one. I'll paste another one. I'll change this to beans. It was beans. I don't know that it was like this. Okay, it is not there. It is beans quantity input. It is beans quantity input. I think it is there because it was indicating that it is not there. So the next one, I have how many? I have worked on total selling. This one also, total selling output and a total cost output. So come and paste them here, then come and say dot set text. I'll put an empty string inside here like this. So I'll just copy this and I paste for total cost output. So I think this is for beans. Can duplicate this and make another one for maize. Just change this to maize, then create another one and just change this to millet. So we shall come whenever there is beans and we replace it with maize. So we shall come over here, Ctrl H. So whenever there is beans, replace it with maize. Sorry, wherever there is beans like this, replace it with maize. Here, exactly here, because I had selected here like this. So whenever there is beans, replace with maize. Don't go for replace all, replace one by one, just like this. So when we come here, Whenever there is beans, replace with millet, just like this. Then replace one by one. The last one is going to take me somewhere else. At the start, let me replace it manually. Sorry, let me replace it manually, the same millet. So I think that is perfect. So whenever there is an error, we shall be calling this function. We shall come and call this function whenever a user makes an error anywhere. So we shall come, this reset function shall come and call it, I'll come and call it whenever there's an error here. I'll say self dot this function here. So this function will also run whenever there is an error of this kind. And then after the user has computed this, can also show this function. After this error, can show this function. Likewise, then after this computation, the user can see this. So this is just to clear such that the input box is fresh again for use. So in case there is an error, we shall come back and make sure we rectify. So, well, that is it. Let us run. Okay. It ran successfully. So let us come and try to enter some text like this. Then I will not enter here, and then I compute. So it will say you cannot enter a letter, or actually I will change this, letters or any other type of text. So when I click OK, this text is reset back. So even though the computation is successful, like this, then like this, and then we enter some quantity. So when I click OK, it is reset back. So is it good for it to reset back? Anyway, this one has not been reset. This one, maize profit. I don't know. Come and check maize profit. Maize profit. Maize. Actually, this is percentage. Let us change. Not percentage. They are not all percentage. Okay. They are not all percentage. Okay. Come and rectify even this. Because this maize, this is millet profit input. So I think that is okay. Now, is it good for us to clear immediately? Because actually after the user has computed, it is better the user will use the reset button to reset. So after computing, let us not, successful computation, let us not remove the content. So where did I put a success message? I hope I can see it. Okay, success message was here. I don't need this actually, because the user can clear using the clear button. So shall copy this success message. Let us also display. We don't need it here. We don't need this here. Let's display the success message. Likewise, let's display the success message here. Can leave it here. Whenever there's an error, it resets the box for the users, just like this. So let us go back and test the program again. So it will open over here. So if you enter some text here, like enter some text here like this, then you enter something which is not understandable, it will have to clear. And if the calculation is successful, like this, and compute, it will not clear. The user can decide to just clear using this button. So let us go and connect the slot of this button to work. So come up here. Actually, it was in the first group of maize. The button is here. Remove the comment from it. So testing is fine. Come and run again. we have to enter some text like this, actually some numbers, then we compute. It was successful, so you can come and reset, and to reset all. So now we have a case where the user will come and type here something. So let us go and handle that in a minute. So come to these inputs. Come to these inputs. Remember, it is in this first group mostly which is displaying the data. So come to this one here and say self.maize profit input. I have to write the whole of it so that I can see the one I should filter out. Input dot set read only. Set this to true, like that. So we shall also do the same for this one down here. Shall do the same for this one. Shall just change its name. So this one is the maize percentage input. So we shall set it to read only such that the user doesn't alter anything in it. Shall copy this and also paste it here. Let us check whether it is up and running. So this is maize. So currently you can only enter here text, but you cannot enter here anything. It is now read only. So that is good. Let us come to millet. Millet was starting from here. Shall come and say self dot millet profit input dot set read only. Shall set this to true. So we shall copy this and we change for other components. We shall paste here and then we modify at once. Paste here, then we shall come and keep modifying these. Shall come and keep modifying these one by one, just like this. So we shall finish up with the beans. Shall come down to the beans section. Hope I'm not finishing it up. This is the beans layout. Shall also come and say self dot, why am I repeating? I don't have it in memory. Let me write it full. Dot beans profit input dot set read only. Set read only. Pass here true. So we shall copy this, duplicate it for all these other widgets also, just like this. So we shall copy this and paste it here. Copy this name, change it here. Copy this name, paste it here. Alright, let us run this and we see the result. So the user cannot enter anything in these boxes, these ones here. So they can only show results. So if you enter some data, testing is okay. Some data like this, then compute. So they can show data, but you cannot edit them. Alright, thank you for being with me here. Go ahead, practice this section, then come back and we proceed to lecture 9, where we shall see how to create a CSV file which stores the data we have entered in the application. Alright, welcome back. Let us proceed to lecture 9. In lecture 9, we are going to be guided by these 3 learning outcomes. We should be able to create a CSV file to store our application data, then create an installer. This is an installer or executable file. Then use I'm in lecture, I hope I have not, this is lecture 9, sorry, this is lecture 10 and this is lecture 9. as about to sync I've already passed there. So we shall create a CSV file, then create an executable, and then use the executable directly if it is in on a Linux. So we shall see if it is on Linux. You don't need to use inner setup. Immediately you create the installer using PyInstaller. You just use it straight away. So let us start straight away. So come at the top here. I think not here. Immediately after sys, and then here first come and import pandas as PD. Then come and create 3 lists. Create 3 lists. So my first list will be maize data. Maize data is equals to that empty list. Shall also go for the beans. Shall also go for the beans data. Will also be an empty list. Shall also go for the millet data. It will also be an empty list. So these lists are going to help us to store the data. So I'll come where I'm going to compute the data for maize. Maize is here. So after the calculations are successful, this message, like I said, I mentioned earlier, we shall change it. So let us come down here. So after the calculation is successful, we are now going to add the records to a CSV file. So first of all, we shall create a dictionary. Shall create a dictionary named records. Shall name it records. And this dictionary, we shall have to make sure it has the keys. The first key will be the cost price. So the cost price will carry what will come from the cost price. From the cost price, comma. And then we have another key, the selling price. Selling price, I'll use an underscore price. So this one will carry what will come from the selling price, comma. Then we have, what else do we have? We have the quantity sold. This one will carry what will come from the quantity. So we have another one, the total cost price. This one will come from the total cost price variable. So we also have the total selling price. This one will carry what will come from the total selling price. We have the profit. This one will carry what will come from the profit. Then lastly, we have the percentage. Let's call it percent profit. This one will carry what will come from the percent profit. So we shall now get this data, these records, and we append them to the maize data. Append, shall append this data named records. So after appending it, let me first print it. Let me first print this maize data to the terminal here. So come and run the application. Remember, I'm not saving because for my I have autosave on. Come to file, then click on autosave such that it will always save the changes as you are running. So I'll run this. So it will open the application here. So I'll enter some data. So when I compute, it will have to create for me the dictionary here, having the key and the value, but the dictionary is wrapped into a list. because I appended it to a list, the key and the value, key value pair. So we shall now have to go and write this to a CSV. I'll remove the print. So I'll write this to a CSV. I'll say df is equals to pd dot, I'll turn it to a data frame. I'll first turn it to a data frame. What am I turning to a data frame? I'm turning the maize data to a data frame. So I'll now get df dot to CSV. I turn it to a CSV. Dot to CSV. So I'll come inside here and I give the name, a name to the CSV. I'll call it maize stock data dot CSV. So I'll make sure the index is false, such that it doesn't produce it with the indices. So after that, I'll produce a message and I say success. The CSV file was created successfully, just like this. So let us come and run. So the CSV file will be created in this directory here. So come and run this application, enter some data and then some values and compute. So the CSV file was created successfully. So when you come to this and open the CSV file, you'll get the data inside here. So the data has all what it takes. So I don't know why it is not showing, like anyway, it is in a CSV format, comma separated, but I wanted it to show like an Excel table. So I'll delete this. So I'll pause the video. I do the same for beans and other. Actually, might be just the same, even so I don't pause. I may just copy this in just a few minutes, because this is the only line I've added. I'll come to GUI here. I'll copy all of this like this. Then I come to the next item. Actually, I'll even remove this message because I'm going to edit it. So I'll come here, records is okay. I'll use the same variable. So this will be beans. And then I'll come here. This will be beans still. I'm appending beans data. And then this will be, the file will be beans stock data.csv. And this is just the same. So I'll copy this again. And I duplicate it for the last item. I'll remove this message because I have a new message. I'll come and change this to millet. This is the list I created earlier. I'll come and copy this. Then I format it here. And I also change it here. So I'll change this to beans. So the CSV file was created successfully. So I wanted to edit this message. You cannot enter letters. So I wanted to change it to letters like that. And whenever it appeared, also here. And then also here. Just like that. So when we come back, our application must be working well and good. So far we have just added, actually we had tested this already. Let us test this. Let's test this. And when we compute, a CSV file is created, 456, 560. And if you come and open it, you'll see the data inside there. So the same thing will be for the last item. So let us go and make sure when a user enters, when the profit, should I say when the quantity is negative. So come here where the computation for values were. somewhere here. So the user will enter, will want to compute something. So when the quantity is negative, let me see, somewhere here. Anyway, let that be an exercise for you also. Go and check. If a user enters negative quantity, please show a message and say the quantity can never be negative. Maybe values for cost price and the selling price, the user has entered negative. Go ahead and show a message and say, please, these values can never be negative. So go ahead, finish up here. This lecture was supposed to continue up to creating an installer, but let me pause it from here, then we come back and create the installer. Alright, welcome back. Let us go to this as outcome of creating an installer, then use the installer directly. So for Linux, I'm going to also show you for Linux how to work with Linux. So in lecture 10, we shall have to create installer in a setup, then we use it. So let us start with working on the installer. So for you to turn this into an executable file, actually bundle this into an executable file, come and use PyInstaller. Come and use PyInstaller. So come and, if you don't have PyInstaller, come and say pip, while you're connected to internet, pip install PyInstaller, just like this. So when you have it, well and good. So after installing PyInstaller, then come back and proceed. So what are we going to do here? Let me take a cup of water. Alright, welcome back. Now, after sipping some water, I think my voice is now clear. Now, after installing PyInstaller using pip, come and now say PyInstaller. First of all, make sure you are in the project directory. This is my project directory, my project. And if you look at my file path here, it is my project. So if you're not in your project directory, come and change your directory to, say for example, how should I demonstrate this? Say for example, let me come and show this from the desktop. An example is when your directory is this folder here. So come to the terminal here and say change directory. Change directory to, first of all, let me go back one step. And then I'm back to the desktop using 2 full stops. So I'll come and list what is on the desktop. So on the desktop, I have folders or directories like GUI, graphical user interface application, or GUI application, a folder of that kind. So I'll navigate to that folder and I say cd or change directory to, remember it has a space in between. So if it has a space in between, use a quote like that. Then GUI application. You can finish it with a tab, close with a quote, then press enter. So I'm currently inside this directory. So if I try to list what is inside that directory, I think I can't list what is inside there. I don't know why it is not accepting that. Let me come out here and I say GUI application. Let me write it diligently like that. So I can navigate to this folder just like this. So if it has a space, always put a quote. Then say cd, change directory to this folder. So in case you're not inside that folder, and then just change the directory to that folder. So let me turn back to the desktop. Then I navigate back to my folder, which is named my project. So this is where I'm working, my project. So come and say PyInstaller, come and say py installer, and then put space py installer space, put a hyphen, then one file. We are bundling it into one file, then put another space, then put hyphen, no console. I don't want it to display with a console. And then write the project file name. It is profitcalculator.py. Write the project file name, profitcalculator.py. So in case you're not in the directory where the project is, make sure you paste the path. You can come to this project, then copy the path, then you can paste the path here. Instead of the project name, you can come and paste the path here. It has refused to work, but you can come and paste the path here instead of the project name. But for me, since I'm within the project directory, I'll just write profitcalculator.py. So after that, press enter. So it will run through and create a build folder here. Then it will also create a distribution folder here. So what will be in the distribution folder? It is what we distribute. Actually, it's what we shall use to create the installer, and then we distribute to users to use. So it will take a while to create the installer or the executable file. Alright, mine took close to 2 minutes, and it finally displays a message here and says build complete. These results are available in this directory here. So if you come to this folder here, they're saying my project /\list. So when you come to this, you'll get the executable file here. So this is done. We can now close Visual Studio Code. So after closing Visual Studio Code, now go and download Setup. I think go to, let me direct there also. Let me pause the video, I connect to internet, and then I come back and we proceed. Alright, now come to your browser, then search for Setup. Download for Windows 10. In case you're using Windows 11, download it for Windows 11. In case you're using it for Windows 8, download it for Windows 8, whatever the version. So then it is a Windows-based application. So somebody of Linux, please don't disturb it. So come and open the browser. So open one of these. Ensure to download from a reputable site. So before you download malicious code and you install into your PC. So come to this website, jrsoftware.org, and download Setup from here. So after downloading Setup, go and get the executable, install it. You'll have an icon like this on your desktop, Setup compiler. So after all this, let us now go and open Setup. So when you open it for the first time, you will see this window pop up, welcome. So the first procedure here is create a new script file using the script wizard. Don't go for an empty one. Then click create. And then click OK. So after this, it will ask create a new empty script file. Leave this and click next. And then after this, come on this window. This window is saying application name. The application name, we shall call it profit calculator app. Version, shall call it version 1.1. Then put here the publisher or the company which has made this program. Then put your website. Then click next. So application destination base folder, you want it to go to the programs folder. When you're installing a software, they usually go to local disk C, then they go to program files. So you can change it in case you want a custom. I'll leave it on that. Then this is the name I entered. Then allow users to change the application folder. I can leave this on or I can turn it off. For me, I'll leave it off. And then we shall come here now, select the executable file we created. You should know where it is. Mine is on the desktop in a folder named my project. So come and browse. Come to the desktop, my project, come to the dist folder, it is this one here. Then click open. So before you even go there, if you come to this folder, then come to the dist folder, then you come and open it. Come and click on this file. It will open the application here, compiled. So that one shows that what you did was valid. So if you have any other files, if you come to your folder here, if you have any other files, leave about the one I had left here for practice. If you have, don't include the build, don't include the dist. If you have any other files, like don't include the spec file. If you have any other files like a database, you can include them here. So such that they will be compiled and be bundled together. So you'll come to add files, then add the files. So if you have folders, then also add folders separately. An example, if you have a folder like this, but don't include the build folder. So after that, for me, I don't have any other files apart from this executable. Click next. So when you come here, associate a file type to the main executable file. Okay, this one I'll leave it as .exe executable. Then click next. So here, create a shortcut. These are now for the user application shortcuts. Create a shortcut to the main executable in the start menu programs folder. That is okay. I'll leave it checked so that users can create a shortcut. Then allow users to create a shortcut for the desktop, like the way you see mine here. Then click next. So license, if you have any licenses for this application, click next. Put them and click next. So setup install mode. Please specify in which install mode setup should run. Administrator install mode. Install for all users. I'll leave it on this. Then allow users to override install mode. Ask the users to choose the installation startup. So I want you to remain on this option. You can explore these ones as well. Click next. So which Windows registry file to import? I don't have this. I'll leave this as default. Delete keys which are empty on unistar. Then delete values to on uninstall. I'll leave these on default. Click next. So the language, there's a vast variety of languages here. I'll leave it on English. Then click next. So custom compiler and all other these, I'll leave these on default unless if you have something to do with it. Click next. So we have the style in which you want your installation window to appear. I'll leave it on default and click next. Then we have here a message. Please specify whether inner setup preprocessor should be the inner setup script wizard to use hash define compiler directives to simplify your script, although this is not necessary. it will make it easier to manually change the script later. Do you want setup script wizard to use hash define compiler directives? Leave it on default. Click yes, then click finish. So this is the script. In case you have knowledge in editing it, you can come and edit it, add the icon and other things. So I'll leave it the way it is. I'll just click yes to proceed. So would you like to save the script before compiling it? I'll want to save it. Maybe I'll want to edit it later. So I'll save it in the dist folder in my project. I'll save it as my project script. Then click save. So immediately click save, it will now run. So after running, it will now bundle into an executable file which you can distribute to other people to install on their computers. It will just take a short while and it will finish. So it has finished. So after finishing, I'll close over here. So come to your folder, my project, then come to the dist, then come to output. So this is the output. So this is the final output of the project. It's the final output of the project. So if you come and double click it, it will ask for installation. So I don't know why it is quiet. Wait, I should get the right application. Let me see if this is not. It should ask for procedures to install. Okay, this one is running directly. Okay, click next, click install. They had crossed me for sure. Then click finish. So this one has installed the application. Where is it? It has opened it. It has installed the application. I may first uninstall this one because we named it profit calculator. Let me first uninstall this one here, the one I created earlier. Or this one here. This one has created the installer, right? But let me first go to programs. Go to programs. Then I'll find this one here, calculator. I'll come to P down here. This is okay, the profit calculator program version 1 is also there. Maybe I'll have to find it from, this is profit calculator. I think it must be this one here. I don't know whether it is this one here. This is the profit. Okay, this one we named it up, the one we have just created. Let me uninstall this one here. This one here, which I created earlier. The install, are you sure? Yes. Okay, that one is out. So I remain with this one here. It has been installed, but it is not having an icon on the desktop. So when you come to the dist after compiling in setup, come to output, come to the dist folder, then come to output. Then this is your installation file. You can now distribute this one to other people to use. So I'll also uninstall the other one. Actually, before I even uninstall, it is here. Profit calculator app. It is in the menu. Come and click on it. It will launch. So after launching, you can now work with it. Let us test and see whether everything is working perfectly before we send for the users to also test. So when you run, it will also compute and create a CSV file. You can reset the data. So let me look for the CSV file. Let me come to the project, my project. And when I come to my project, I don't know whether this one was there. Let me cut it out. Let me create it again. Let me run this again. enter some data like this, then I compute profit. So I don't know where it has sent the CSV file because I didn't specify the path. So that is one of the things. Anyway, maybe it may be inside here. Here it is not there. It is not either here, but it must have created it. Let us come to dist output. Even output, it is not there, but it must have created it. But I can't guess where exactly. Being the fact that they fall down. So one of the things you should check is where the CSV file will go, because I'm pretty sure it has created that CSV file. Let us go back to the project. Let's go back to the project and we see. So back to the project here. When you run after running this, we showed a message box, then created the CSV file, come up because we tested for maize. We created the CSV file, the records, and we send the data to records. Then this is yes, this is fine. Everything here was fine, but unfortunately I didn't see this message when the calculation was computed successfully. This message here. So you may go ahead and check, then verify, then see where your application you can improve it. But that is how you can create the application and create the installer. So when you're supplying, just come to the dist folder. Just come to the dist folder in my project. Come to dist, and then output, then supply this. You can even change its name from here. So that is it. You can go ahead now and create more complex projects for yourself. So go ahead, finish up here, and we'll meet in lecture 10 as we conclude. I will have to check this and see why it didn't work out for Windows, and then update it in lecture 10. Alright, to create an installer for Linux, come and also open the terminal. I'm using my Ubuntu PC. So we shall also use PyInstaller. Here's a PyInstaller. So exactly the same way we did for Windows. And then specify and say one file, and it to be bundled into one file. Then no cancel. Then space. Then pass the file name. The file name is profit. Calculator. So profit calculator.py. So I already have these ones that are already compiled. I will remove them. I will remove this spec file. I will close it here. Then I will remove it. Spec. So I think okay. So I can now compile this. So we use PyInstaller one file, no cancel. So we specify no cancel such that it doesn't display a cancel window whenever we run the application. So run this. So it will go through and create the installer for you. And the installer will go in this directory, Python GUI application. Alright, you you will see a message after some minutes that the building the AXE from this completed successfully. So the results are in this folder here, this application folder. So you'll come to your dist folder and you'll get the installer here. So what I didn't mention when you're working with Windows is, when you're working with Windows and you have an antivirus installed, first turn it off, otherwise it will disrupt the process of creating the installer. Or it is okay to leave the Windows Defender on, but first turn off if you have an antivirus, a third-party antivirus installed. Now this installer, we shall go to, it is in Python projects, and then this folder here. Actually, let me just come and I go to open. Do I have something like open? Should I try open relative path? I don't know, so it would help me to open where it is. So let me go to this folder. Let me go to that specified folder. So when you come here to dist, you'll get here this file here. So this is the file you will distribute to other people to install. Actually, they will not install. This is Linux, so they will just run. Just double click and it opens. So this installer helps us to not to send for the users this code. We only send for them this installer. When they double click, they will keep launching it by double clicking. So if you enter some records, and click compute, it will indicate that message just like that. So that is how, and it will create the CSV for you here in the folder, in the dist folder. On Windows it didn't work out well, and this is the CSV 56 and the data we entered. On Windows it didn't work out well, I don't know why, but on Linux, when I compiled, now this is just the same code, so I just had to compile it from Linux, and I got the distribution or the installer which I just launched for Linux. So thank you for staying in with me. Go ahead, practice and make greater projects. Alright, now after developing the whole project, the process is not done. There's a lot of learning through. Now there are some of the recommendations I've outlined here. Now these recommendations, while in the field, you'll get more recommendations. I'm still a manual Gdudu and I'm instructor in this area still. So some of the recommendations after building the project, remember we have built the graphical user interface, we have built a website which can compute calculations, we have built something in Excel. So there's something we should look out for. Input validation and sanitization. This is one of the further recommendations. So make sure all user inputs are validated and sanitized to prevent injection or invalid data processing. So for example, validate numerical inputs to ensure they are within expected ranges. Then file limit access, avoid writing CSV files like the way we did. So to unrestricted locations, use a dedicated directory with restricted permissions. So an example, store CSV files to secure subdirectories. So also error handling, ensure all exemptions are properly caught. So other recommendations include also avoid hard coding sensitive data. So if your application requires sensitive data such as API keys, database credentials, avoid hard coding them. Then restrict external libraries. Ensure you only use trusted libraries also. Ensure file permissions are secure. Set appropriate file permissions for CSV files such that there is no unauthorized access. Then also use virtual environments. So run your Python in a Python virtual environment to isolate dependencies and reduce risk of dependency related vulnerabilities. So update dependencies. There are some dependencies which have been duplicated, something like that, whereby the developers are no longer maintaining them. So always update and download new ones. So secure the graphical user interface by limiting the functionality of graphical user interface to only what is necessary. An example, disable drag and drop features or clipboard access if not needed. So in case there is no need for copying and pasting, so you can disable the clipboard. So logging and monitoring. Implement logging to monitor user actions and detect suspicious behavior. So use Python's logging module to log events. So if you're in a website, also check out what can best support you in that. So prevent code injection, that is point 11. Avoid using the evil function. That one is used mostly if you're doing calculations. So in graphical user interface applications. So avoid using them as they can execute arbitrary code and pose a security risk. The beautiful thing is there are other alternatives to them. Secure dependencies. Use tools like pip audit to check for known vulnerabilities in your dependencies. So by implementing these measures, you can significantly improve the security of your application and reduce the risk of malicious activities. So in case you're excited to learn with me again, go ahead, finish up here and let us meet again.